What is it that we learned? What is it that I, as a country chair with the team, this beautiful team that we have, what is it that we learned? I'd like you to introduce some of these amazing people that I'm working with. And in fact, I've had the opportunity and the privilege to work with. Of course, you see me on the screen, but you also see somebody called 𝗪𝗪𝗪 𝗪𝗪𝗪. He is a single person army when it comes to content, when it comes to building narratives. And we've had such a wonderful time working for COP28, and I'm going to be talking about that a little later. We also have Nisha and Samir. These are the people who look after one of the most prominent states in our country called Gujarat. And that is where the Prime Minister is also from. So they've been doing some really amazing work. Samir has been deeply invested. He's the head of 5 villages there. So he's been deeply invested in securing electricity and water provisions for these villagers. So this is backbreaking work. It's almost like I get to speak with him once in 3 months. It's that time and effort investing. Nisha also has been invested in capacity development in a huge way. We've got Dr. 𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗍𝗪, who takes care of one of the most vulnerable regions in the country, that's Jammu Kashmir, and she's a psychologist and a psychotherapist and works actively with the children at hospitals. Then we've got somebody called 𝗪𝗪𝗪 𝗪𝗪𝗪, and I'm extremely delighted to tell everybody that she's the youngest state chair in the world. She's all of 16 years old. She's her initiative is present in 15 countries. She's already done 60 keynote sessions since 2020, when she was 14 years old. And she coined this entire concept called Planterra, where she has a Terra bank and she awards Terra coins to people who do climate action or take initiatives in the direction of climate action. So this is such a heartwarming introduction that happened, and it just puts my faith back into the world. And then we've got Rajan, who is also here with us. I don't think so he's on camera, but an amazing human being. He's an anthropologist by education, and he's got, I think, about 30, 40 years of experience working with heavy industries across India and the Middle East, and even in the energy sector. So Mridula and Rajan are the 2 fresh appointees we've got this year, and we hope to really build Ecocivilisation India along with them. So what has been our learning so far? We'll come to that, but we've aligned the entire work that we did this entire year with the 5 entities of Ecocivilisation: society, beings, consciousness, relationships, and land. How do we tie all of this together in everything that we do? I'd like to share this little quote with you, which literally encapsulates the entire learning we've had the entire year, and something we would love to carry forward in the future. The learning is that we are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond. There cannot be anything truer than this, given the fact that right in the beginning, we were led into this exercise where we were supposed to imagine roots going down into the ground, connecting with the trees, roots of the trees. And this entire network, it is a rather human wastage, a wastage of human to not be able to envision that, visualize that, and find your space in that. So these days, one of my favorite things that I'm writing about is social location. How do we recognize our social location to move forward together with everybody? And that being said, I'd also like to give you a couple of stories of things that we did in Ecocivilisation India in 2023. The first story that I have for you is in the context of land, consciousness, relationships. Yes. So there was a summit that was held in India early 2023 called the India Construction Meet. So as a representative of the construction industry, I kind of became greedy for the space and tell the whole community and the fraternity how the industry is compromising the planetary boundaries and that we need some really, really hard switchovers. And these were the 3 things that we spoke about: minimizing conflict with nature, of course, a focus on ESG, and how do we increasingly align with the government schemes that are emerging to ensure that the structures are earthquake-proof, they are calamity-proof, because what happened in Turkey was a big eye-opener for a lot of countries that cut corners in terms of construction quality and thus compromising the lives of peoples and families across. So the first point that you see here, and the second, clean energy focus. When we started talking about this, the outcome of this was that before G20, the first brainstorming meeting that happened by the Indian government on internalizing green hydrogen, I got invited for that brainstorming session. And now we are building something that is going to really look at how green hydrogen is implemented across the country, across the hubs that are coming up. So this is a huge, huge space, a very scary space, I'd be honest with you, to be in, because we are dealing with sharks. And of course, sharks come and grab all the juicy meat first. And then we have to figure out, okay, where do we fit in? But yes, we've got brains and we've got intentions. We see what's wrong with the world. And this is the domain that matters the most. So here we are. The second story I'd like to share with you is of a girl called 𝗙𝗪𝗲 𝗙𝗂𝘁𝗂𝗿𝗄. She's also known as the India's mountain daughter. Early 2023, when I met her, she was all of 27 with a debt of about 29,100,000 INR, rupees, because nobody was supporting her. There was a legal problem with the contract that was signed, and she was ready to resign from this career. And let me tell you, she's somebody who scaled the Everest twice. She's done Annapurna Mountain, which is one of the most treacherous mountains in the world. This time around, she wanted to do 30,000 kilometers without oxygen as a symbol of telling the world what it means to focus on mental health. And when we disregard mental health, it's almost like being unable to breathe. And during this expedition, this girl was found dead. But she came back. She told herself she's not going to die on the mountain. And as of today, I'm very happy to announce that because of the support that we lent, and I wouldn't say just because of, I mean, I found that to be my duty to support her. She's been adopted by one of the biggest foundations in our country called the Tata Foundation. And till the time she turns 60 years of age, everything is going to be funded for her. This is a story of beings, relationships, how we step up. The next couple of slides you'll see here are some of the work that I did for the United Nations, where there was sufficient representation for eco-civilization also. This was a paper that was almost a 60-page paper talking about how do we need to look at products, supply chains, developmental funding, everything that's a wish list for us in a problematic world today. What are some of the examples that are emerging in the world? In fact, Circles is also a part of this paper. And this paper has been presented at the High-Level Political Forum at New York, beginning mid of 2023, and this has been read by all the member states. So very proud of this work. The second thing that we did, and this was with 𝘢𝘂𝘁, where 𝘢𝘂𝘁 actually said, and it's really stuck in my head, Art Speaks Human. This is where I heard her say this first. So we did a hybrid side event at the High-Level Political Forum in New York, which was extremely well received, and we had so much input coming in that the outcome of that input turned into another paper that was submitted to the SDG Summit called Building Unity as a Prerequisite to Achieving the SDGs. Of course, that is a reference point worldwide when we talk about SDGs. And Alexander, we know he wants to work on evolutionary development goals, which is just so promising and something we really need. But as a reference point, we took three pillars of the SDGs, that's nature, society, economy. And we again looked at what are the initiatives taking place worldwide, how do we compile them as a directional database for member states to start looking at alternate mediums. Because let me say this, as a business owner, as an industrialist from medium to heavy range engineering services, I find it very difficult to make a hard switch over when I have 100 people to feed. So I suffer from the fact that there are no options being worked upon or being showcased for me to say, hey, I give this up today so I can take this up today. So I think this is where we need to compile information and all of this work that we're doing. And very happy to, again, have 𝘢𝘂𝘁 here as one of the endorsers along with me for this paper. So we are far and out there with the UN member states, 𝘢𝘂𝘁. And the final thing that we've submitted literally on 31st December, before I said Happy New Year to everybody, half an hour before that, I submitted this write-up called Nature Reverent United Global Communities that's going into the Summit of the Future. And there's a hell lot of work coming up for all of us there. So this is about vision building at a level where we know that they're very disconnected. And when I say they, it is the leadership at the level of United Nations and the political class. they're very disconnected. So the big theme that has been worked upon this entire year with the UN, with other interventions is how do we look at nurturing to be able to produce leaders that don't mess up our world? What does it take for us to, so the question is, well, hey, it takes a village. And the question I ask is, where is the village? Who's in that village? What are we doing in that village? How are we making things land? So I think all of these initiatives that you see here, they have really marked out, it's almost like, those flickering bright arrows saying, go north, go south, go west. So the way forward for us is literally understanding what our duty is, that it is to create that influence and weave narratives that reach the highest to the grassroots change-making agendas and initiatives in India and from India to the world, because we hold the truth. And this is our national motto: one earth, one family, one future.